Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, inspiration, and hope. We continue to expand to various platforms across the world, and we're super grateful that you like the content that we are sharing. So a big thanks to all of our team members from around the world and to you, our loyal followers, whether you're watching or listening. We want to welcome our new audience on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. Our show today is the Listening Mentor Show, and the star of our show is Caroline.heward. She is joining us from the United Kingdom. She is an expert in so many fields. She's helped people all across the world bust their stress. She has so many certifications, I don't even know where to begin. And she comes to this show prepared for whatever it is I'm going to throw at her. So today's topic is when different generations talk. Let's welcome Caroline.heward to the show. Hello.
It's so ready? True. We did actually say, and I'm going to share this with our audience, behind the scenes backstage, just before we began, Dr. JACALYN said, so how are you going to take this topic? I said, I don't know. I'm in your hands. Just throw whatever you've got at me. And that's where we are. So I have no idea what she's going to ask me. So be prepared to be amazed.
Thank you, Caroline. You know, we have come together, and it's been a number of years now, where we are helping people learn how to listen at an elevated level. And that might be listening to their bodies. It might be listening to their intuition, but we provide real skills, tips, and techniques to help people become better listeners. So I want to thank you for taking this journey with me. You are the Harley Street stress expert. And as I mentioned, you have been helping people bust their stress for decades. Tell us a little bit more about how you actually help people, and then we're going to get into our topic for today.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. I help people break through the patterns that create their everyday stress, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, behavioral, whether it's a relationship that you're always complaining about, different person, different name, different time, but same thing that you're complaining about. And the common denominator is you. If you have regular pains, either low back pain, neck pain, knee pain, if you have a regular infection that comes up, there will be something that's bringing that up because our body talks to us. And I help you identify the root cause, and I use root cause therapy and chakra psychology to identify what's causing the problem that you are suffering with. And it's very, very quick. And it's very meaningful because it literally breaks down, when you go into awareness, it breaks down the patterns of what creates that particular symptom all of the time. And in doing that, emotions are released. And so then in awareness, you can heal and integrate what you didn't integrate initially. It's very, very powerful. And I love doing what I do, and I do what I love because I've actually solved a lot of my problems, including stress, anxiety, depression, and I love to help others solve the same kinds of problems.
Thank you, Caroline. And I just want to share, for those who don't know, my mother passed away about 6 months ago, and Caroline was super supportive and helpful during her journey with dementia. And then she ended up passing away from cancer, and Caroline was there for me, the true professional. So thank you for helping me get through many of those dark times. We have some comments from a follower on Facebook, Asif Khan. Hello, how are you? Thank you. How are you? Actually, we're doing very well. And we also have someone commenting on Instagram, Holistic Hemp Solutions. Hello, nice to have you with us. I know you're joining us for an interview later in the month. And this person writes, sending everyone so much love. Thank you. We appreciate that. All right, Caroline, let's get into our topic today. As you and I both know, we are advocates for setting boundaries and asking for permission before having an in-depth, deep conversation. So, Caroline, I have something I really want to share with you. It's going to take about 20 minutes. Is now a good time for me to share that with you?
Right now, I'm preoccupied with a deadline. Let's catch up in half an hour's time, and I can give you all the time in the world.
Well, Caroline, I want to talk to you right now. I'm really upset about what's going on, and I want to talk to you now.
Unfortunately, I really don't have the space right now because I have to meet a deadline before the end of the day. And if I don't, I'm going to lose a potential client.
I guess you don't care about me. This is the problem. This is always the problem.
I absolutely love you.
Oh, right. Love me. I've heard it all before. Fine, fine, fine. I'll talk to you in half an hour.
You're not fine, and I'm going to be everything that I could possibly be for you in 30 minutes time. Please allow me this space just to sort out that other person that I promised my time for, and then I'll be with you.
All right. Thank you. Sometimes it goes smoothly, sometimes it doesn't. Now let's throw in another factor. People from different generations having a conversation. So you and I are similar in age, although I am older. I will be 61 before you. So I will be 61 this month. But when we are dealing with someone in their 20s, maybe a teenager, maybe somebody in their 30s, they have experienced conversations in a different way. And they may not be someone like you or myself who actually spend a lot of time listening to people and working on our own skills. So what can you share with us as a certified therapist, some tips for when different generations are having an exchange of information?
This is a really, really powerful and interesting topic. And I've been doing a little research on what different generations, how they're conversing. And our latest generation are the Zoomers. They're affectionately known as the Zoomers, as a skit on boomers. So I'm going to look at that generation because that's our latest generation, or known as Generation Z. And the Zoomers are the ones that are up and coming into our current marketplace. And they have some really interesting sayings. They might turn around and say, "That's orcs." And to be honest with you, until I read and Googled what it meant, I wouldn't have known. And so my absolute advice, especially if you're hearing words consistently from the people around you, is to Google what they mean. Go to Google and just put in, what does orcs mean? What does Riz mean? Because I'm hearing these words and I don't know what they mean. Or when you're in that conversation with someone and they're turning around and saying, "That's orcs," you can almost get a feel of what that might mean versus what you know for sure. And another word that really surprised me was literally. Now, I use the word literally a lot. I literally lost my head. I couldn't find my keys. I literally lost my patience. I lost it on a call. I really mean that's exactly what I mean. That literally now doesn't mean what we mean it to mean. Literally means something completely different. It's actually the opposite. And so it is about, if you're hearing words that you're not sure and they almost seem out of context to what you have an understanding for them to be, look it up. Or ask them. If you're not sure what they mean, literally say, I'm not sure what you mean, or can you explain what you mean, because I'm unsure of where you're going with this. And so it's important to have a mutual understanding of what you both mean, because it's very easy to be upset or angry about something you misunderstand, just because somebody's saying a word that you think it means one thing, whereas they're taking it to mean another.
Excellent point. Thank you so much. So there has to be a base level of understanding. Now, a scenario that's been coming up for me on a regular basis was kind of an eye opener. I didn't even get to really get into it with you. I know I've mentioned something similar, but I teach fitness classes, and the fitness classes are different types and different generations of people. And one thing I've noticed with the younger generations is that in the middle of the class, they are scrolling through their Instagram. And when I first started teaching again, I was really offended because I thought it was very disrespectful, because I would never do that. I would never pull out while a teacher's talking and start scrolling through a phone. But I realized it had nothing to do with me. And in one class, a person actually called someone. They actually had a phone call with the loud music and the lights. They were on the phone with the person. And I just was kind of speechless, because it's not something that I really understood. I thought, well, if you're putting all of your energy into this workout, how could you even have the frame of mind to call someone? But I said, it's not my judgment. It's not my call. So I had to actually take a step back, remove myself, and say, the fact that this person is on Instagram or making phone calls during the class has nothing to do with me. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The attention span of, and I hate to say this, but, I never thought I'd be saying the younger generation. I always
Why do we get to be so old?
It happens, but they will be saying it to their children. So, and I never thought I'd be the one that would be saying, oh, the younger generation, they don't understand. But it's true, because each generation has their way, their slang, their communication, and they'll always be, even though they've grown up with their parents, they will have their parents' way, and they will always do something different, because we do. And it's not about you, it's about the attention span. The younger generation, or the Zoomers, have a very, very low attention span. And so that's the millennials and the Zoomers. That's why TikTok and Instagram, the videos are very short. They're like sort of 30 seconds. And our generation, so the baby boomers, we keep replaying it because it's not enough for us. And so we're playing it like sort of 5 or 6 times to get what we need. But the younger generation, the millennials and the Zoomers, they're actually 30 seconds is enough. And then they're off to do something else. That's all they need. And so a lot of the Zoomers are finding Facebook too long. The posts are too long. They're for the older generation, like us, the ones that want to give a lot of detail. And that's why Instagram and TikTok are so fast. They're so short. I'm sure they'll probably love the fact that the items, the posts are so small that they can consume it quicker. And so if they're in an hour class, they'll probably find their attention span being bored. They'll want to flick to something else because there's a level of boredom.
I love that perspective. Thank you so much. Something that's really coming up for me, and I know I've shared this with you before, but when I was in corporate, I retired in 2020, and typically my boss, my supervisor, my manager was always older. And then at a certain point, they started becoming younger, and the clients started becoming younger. And I remember I went out to this major consumer products company in New York, and the person who was the decision maker, he told me he was 25. And it's kind of like, wow, you're 25. Of course, no judgment, but even the exchange as a sales rep calling on somebody in a position of power, even that exchange is different than it would be if it were two people who were both boomers. And so what I learned from my management, who was younger, was that I was using too many words. So my sentences were too long. And you're extremely well educated, so many certifications. I've got my master's and doctorate, and I'm used to speaking in long sentences because doing a dissertation, it's a certain number of words. And I was told that when I speak or when I write, it has to fit into a Twitter feed, which I wasn't even on Twitter. So I was thinking, wow, I don't even know if it's 122, 128 characters or something. And I would get called out on that all the time during reviews. You're saying too many words. And I'm thinking, I was taught that this is how you're supposed to communicate. So I don't know how things are today, but I would imagine that if you and I are used to speaking a certain way with so many sentences or giving the backstory, and the younger generations want it as short and sweet as possible, that right there is a big gap.
Absolutely. I saw one where it says TBH. To be honest is what it means, but they will shorten it to TBH. And I'm thinking, oh boy, this is quite hard. It's like trying to decipher another language, and it's English. And yet I'm trying to work out what they mean, because what we think it means, when I saw the letters TBH, and it's text speak, but text speak now is becoming verbal speak. So somebody will turn around and say, TBH, or bestie, or BFF, you're my BFF, you're my best friend forever, is what it means. But BFF is what they say. Fam is family and friends. I mean, it's like sort of talking to somebody that they're speaking an entirely different language. And yet in every generation, there will be this mismatch of communication. And this is where misunderstandings are. And this is also where you can have your own dialogue with your friends that your mum and dad, your elders, your peers won't know what you're actually saying.
So in alignment with that, something I'd like to touch on is when I was growing up, there were certain unspoken rules in the household. And I'll give you an example. I would never go through my parents' mail. I would never go through their wallet. To this day, if you have your purse here, your phone starts ringing, I'm not going to look at your phone. But that's not how it is in all the generations, and that's not how it is in all the homes. So my point is, how do we as a global community with all these different generations, how do we come together when we are all speaking differently and we're all listening differently? You and I could go on for an hour and you would be listening. You would not interrupt me once. You would be, and I would be the same for you. But we could sit down with someone else and continuously have them interrupt us while we're talking. So how do we come together and get along?
It's understanding. It's to understand what each generation requires, what each generation needs. I mean, a lot of the younger people, they don't like to go to work early because they spend an hour scrolling through their social media. And then when they arrive, they're still scrolling through their social media, and then they'll take a break to scroll through their social media because that they're glued to their phones, because this is how they were brought up. And whereas you and I, we were born of a different generation that we've had to adapt. So we're really easily adapting, whereas the people that were born as a millennial and the Zoomers, they're attached to their phones because they've always had it. Whereas we can adapt, we can leave it or bring it in. And the thing that I would say is to have an appreciation, an understanding, and to set some ground rules as what's okay within a working environment or a friendship environment and what's not okay, and to have an agreement of what feels okay and what isn't okay when you're meeting up, whether it's social, whether it's family, and whether it's work.
I love that. So it starts off with the communication. It starts off with expectations, setting boundaries, and then finding a way to come together. And I know for myself, I've always been sort of just so respectful about how different cultures, when people get older, they're revered. as opposed to other cultures where it's like, oh, he's old, she's old, they don't know anything anymore, just ignore them. And now I also feel that I really want to learn from young people as well, because I love their energy. I love the fact that they have different perspectives. So I know that other people feel the same way. We can learn from people who are older and people who are younger. We have people in relationships with all different ages. It could be she's older, he's older, they, whatever the case might be. There's always something to be learned. And at the same time, it's about setting those boundaries. So for people to set boundaries, sometimes that can be a challenge in and of itself because we're afraid. If I say to you, I've got 10 minutes and you know you need 20 minutes, and like we did that role play, you know, you could be highly offended and that could impact our relationship. And at the same time, if I don't ask for what I want, I might resent you because I can't do something else I need to do because now I'm here listening to you. So how do we manage that tightrope?
With extreme courtesy and compassion. Whenever I call my financial guy, who's extremely busy and watching all the screens because he's trading, and he picks up my call, I know because I can hear that he's actually not available. And I always say, is it a good time to speak? Because I can actually feel it's not a good time. And he will say something like, no, it's not a good time. I've got 2 minutes. And if he's only got 2 minutes, I will say, okay, when is a good time to call back? Or, okay, I just have this question, and just go straight to the point. So it is important to find out what their availability in terms of speaking to you, because one of the things that the baby boomers do is that they will be picking up the phone, whereas somebody that's a millennial or a Zoomer, they're not picking up the phone in the same way. And so it's important to know that people won't pick up your call if they're busy. And it's also important to be respectful. If somebody says, I have 5 minutes, to do your very best to stay within that time frame. And if you can't, and it becomes more complicated, be respectful and turn around and say, I realize this is now over your time limit. Should we continue this another time?
I love that you just said that. I think that is such an important point. If you ask for permission and the other person sets a boundary, I have 2 minutes right now, and you decide to go over the 2 minutes, okay, you're the stockbroker, you're the trader, and I call you on the phone and you say, I've got 2 minutes for you. And now I'm on 5 minutes. What are you thinking to yourself, Caroline, as I'm continuing to talk over 2 minutes?
Well, if I'm the trader, then I'm getting very frustrated. If I'm the one in the trader's position, and he's watching screens and he's got, he's like sort of intensity because it's during the working trading day, and I know that it's wrong, and so I'm very, very careful. But if I'm in my place and I've got to get a question answered, I will sometimes say, I tell you what, I'll email you.
Yeah, that's good, because then you get the attention that you want, especially if you think about it. If you're calling up about something that's financially related, you want the other person to be able to focus on what it is that you're asking. That's not just a cursory question that you're throwing out there. That's something that could have a lot of implications. Something else that's been coming up for me recently, I don't even know when it started. I think it started with younger people, but texting someone and you write something you feel is significant. You've put some information there. Maybe there's a question, there's a call to action, and you get a little thumbs up or a heart, and that's it. There's nothing else. And you're like, is there I don't know. What is the answer? Did you actually read what I wrote? What does that mean?
I do that sometimes. I will read something, not have the time to respond. And so I will put a heart saying, I love that. And then I'll go back to it when I have time. And it might just be that the person they've got to think about it, or they haven't got the moment to actually fully respond. And I think that if they put a thumbs up or a heart, it might be their way of saying, I acknowledge your text. I acknowledge your message, and I acknowledge what you're asking. And it's almost like sort of an unspoken way of saying, I need to think about this, or I need time to compose a response to you without saying it all. You know what I mean? So I certainly have used a heart to acknowledge. I don't like using the thumbs up. I usually use a heart, and it's an acknowledgement.
And you know, I want to just comment on that. I've done the same thing on Messenger, for example. And I don't know outside the United States. I imagine it's WhatsApp, but here we actually have a texting app. And so if you're texting someone in the States, that's where first started coming up for me. It wasn't on Messenger really, but if you're texting someone that you have a close relationship with and you're used to having some kind of communication, it used to be you were talking on the phone, we were getting together, the pandemic, and then you went to texting, and all of a sudden there was no more reciprocation. There was just a thumbs up. The first thing that I thought was, what is going on with this person that all of a sudden they're not communicating? But I reached out and said, I'm not understanding why you sent a thumbs up and didn't actually answer. Well, I needed more time to think about it. Okay, well, could you have just written that? I mean, how long does that take to write? You can use voice to text. Hello, I need to think about it.
I actually type everything. In fact, one of my friends turned around and she said that she's learning a lot about grammar from me because I'm very fastidious about it. I didn't think I was, but it was one of my things, you know, when I was at school. And she actually made a comment saying that she was never very good at grammar, and she's learning a lot from me in terms of my English. My grammar was always very precise, and I've had a lot of feedback from friends saying, you will never write shorthand, you always write it in full. And I believe that that's just the way that I've communicated, and I haven't changed that by text, by messenger. I've always been the same, and I believe that that's part of the culture that I was brought up in, and the way that I was brought up as a baby boomer, bearing in mind that I was the last of the baby boomers, 1964. And so there is conversation that the baby boomers that were born in the latter part are not like the early part of the baby boomers, because they had to suffer and ration, and they were straight after the war. And so I remember my mum being in the space of saying things like, you must finish everything on your plate, you mustn't leave anything, because she came from a time where the food was rationed. And when I was born, it was a case of, you don't know how lucky you are. So I don't believe that my beliefs are the same as my mum's in that respect. And she was born obviously 21 years before I was. And so I do believe there are some differences even there. And so it's important to have an understanding and find a place of agreement, or agreeing to disagree.
Absolutely. I love that. And something that I want to share is, when I was growing up, I heard a lot of, if you had to go through what I had to go through, if you lived through what so I do not say that to anyone, because I remember how that felt. It's almost as though your life isn't acknowledged, your life experiences aren't valued, because what I went through was so incredibly outrageous or painful or difficult. But each of us has our own journey, and there often is opportunities to learn and grow, even though they are brought through pain.
Well, there's a lot more, and I totally agree with you, because every generation has its own challenges. And I have seen, and there is a lot more mental health and anxiety issues and depression in our young children, our young people now, than there was when I was young. And I do believe that's related to social media and the expectation that it places upon you to be always at your best and always be posting and always be seen. Whereas when I was growing up, that just wasn't the case. You could be children, and if you fell in the mud or got dirty, or your hair was not quite right, your makeup was not quite right, then it didn't matter. And so we were children for much longer. I do believe it's a challenge for our children growing up in the social media aspect, because there's so much more on show. And also, if there's bullying, for instance, which there always was when I was at school, I don't think that tradition has stopped. Children will bully other children. That just is, the thing that they do, because they don't want to be different and they don't want to be singled out. It doesn't just stay in the playground or at school in the classroom. It actually goes when they go home into their bedroom, and when they're sleeping, they can get messages. So there is a high level of anxiety for our young people now than what there ever was when we were growing up. And I do believe we have a mental health pandemic and anxiety and depression in our young people than we ever had or experienced in the other generations.
Yes, I agree with you. Excellent points. I was reading somewhere last night that the youngest generation, Z, the Zoomers, that they've had the most exposure to radiation through their phones, because they've had their phones for most of their life. And something else I wanted to share, I mentioned this yesterday, I think on A Woman's Prerogative. I was teaching an exercise class, and a woman came up to me afterwards and said, when I saw you and I saw that you were teaching this class, I thought, oh, this is not going to be good. It is not going to work out well for me. This person is not going to be able to deliver. And she said, I really judged you because I didn't think that you would have what it would take to give me a good workout. She said, but you turned out to be a beast. And so I reflect on that, and I bring it up because I was thinking to myself, what was it that she thought about me? Because she was much younger than I was. But how often do we do that? We look at someone, and what should an instructor look like? I don't know. Is there a certain type of instructor that you go, wow, do you have to have like huge biceps? Should I walk around like this? Hello, I'm going to give you a great workout. So it's interesting because she realized that she had judged me. And I think that whole judgment area is also a big opportunity for growth, because if I'm consistently judging someone based on their age and they're judging me based on age, then that's a missed opportunity to learn from each other.
Well, this is where I totally agree with you, because we're judging a book by its cover. We're saying, well, if you're this age, then you're not going to be speaking my language. You're not going to understand me. And what's really powerful for me, and I do believe it's about your energy and your ability to interact and adapt to change. And I've always adapted to change, as you are adapting to change in this recent time. And I feel that it's your energy, and I tend to attract people, men and women, into my life that are much younger, that are kind of in their early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s. And so this is the millennial generation. And I'm also struggling with the fact that sometimes they will say certain things or be a certain way, and I'm checking in to say, well, what do they mean by that? And so I'm learning because I'm experiencing it, and I want to know, and I believe it's because I'm interested, and I'm not being old, and I'm much more wider in the space of being more adaptable. And it is about your energy, not about your age. Age is just a number. And also the other thing about that is neither you or I actually really look our age. And when I tell people how old I am, they're always very surprised, because I don't look it, I don't act it, and I certainly dance, sort of as if I'm nowhere near my age. And there's been so many comments about that, and I'm very proud of the fact of my age, because I also have wisdom. And that's something that the millennials and the Zoomers are interested in, because they want to learn, that they need it in a quick space of time.
So to summarize, as a boomer, in order to be able to communicate effectively with a younger generation, we need to be able to be more articulate and quicker in the delivery of our information.
Yeah. Like you, I've been quoted as being very verbose, but that was the way that we were brought up. And I didn't really think anything of it. I was certainly great in PR when I was in PR, because they love the long story, because that's how PR is. I mean, in marketing, they just wanted you to get to the point. So it was short, concise, to the point. When you're looking at a headline, you know, it's a marketing job. When you're looking at a story, it's a PR job. So that's where you get more words, more verbiage. But the younger generation, the millennials and the Zoomers, they want short, to the point, and concise. They're not interested in stories. And if you do have a story, they'll want it quick. They want to know, what's the point of this? Where are you going? It's almost like you need to give them the end before you give them the why.
Something that I will do, and I found this especially in conversations I've had with men over the years, is if you're asked a question, if I'm asked a question, I'll give the answer and then I'll go into the story, because I love to tell a story. I feel like storytelling it's an art. And I remember when I was going for my certification as a life and career coach, that was part of the whole process. You need to listen. Listening is huge, right? You don't provide solutions, but you have to be able to talk in analogies and being able to tell a good, clear story relating your own personal experience so that somebody could identify with that. Of course, after you ask for permission. So to me, when I don't get a story, sometimes I'm disappointed, because I want to hear, give me the juicy details behind the scenes of what was really going on. But again, I think it comes to setting boundaries and setting expectations.
I so agree with that, because it is, you know, I'm very much a storyteller and I learn really quickly with stories. And I want to share one very quick story of how I learnt the elements of the compass. Never eat shredded wheat. I've never forgotten it. It was my geography teacher that taught me that. And to remember, north, never; east, eat; shredded, south; wheat, west. And I've never forgotten it. It's just been something that's always been with me. Now, that's a story. And actually, it's quick, to the point, and I've never forgotten it.
That's a good one. I've never heard that before. I love
Haven't
that.
you? Oh,
Never
I've
eat
got,
shredded wheat. That's it. Love it. I love that acronym. Fantastic. Caroline, can you believe we are at the end of our show already? It just flies by. It just starts and then it's already over. So thank you for having that bat up and being ready to hit those questions out of the ballpark. What are some of the services that you can provide, and how can people take advantage of that, especially the Zoom sessions that you offer, whether it's video, audio? You are able to work with people in the way that works for them.
Thank you. Yes, I offer a free 15-minute Zoom or Skype or audio or phone consultation, especially if you're feeling very reserved in terms of video, then audio, messenger, or phone call or WhatsApp. I offer a free consultation in order to look at one symptom to break through the root cause of that one symptom. And it can be whatever it is, whether it's anxiety of a situation, whether it's a physical or emotional or mental ache and pain. And you can reach me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call me on +44 if you're international. If you're local, 07523 120 189. Now, if you're not sure what it is that you want help with, and you're feeling stressed and you're really not sure, and you're saying to yourself you're not stressed, but then you have a physical ache and pain, or you're complaining about a relationship, or you're complaining about something that's going on, that will be your stress. If you have a physical pain, pain manifests in the body. So the mind and body is connected, and we've forgotten what the communication is. So I help people recognize the patterns that are creating their stress, so they don't keep recreating the patterns that are creating their stress. And you can reach out to me anytime because I'm global and I'm working online. And at the same time, you will feel, I know, incredibly relaxed and have a wonderful sleep after your consultation. I'm also offering a 1-hour introductory special offer session for £50. That's 50 Great British pounds, which is an absolute crazy price, where we'll look at 3 to 5 symptoms to help you break through the patterns that are creating your stress. And I look forward to busting your stress.
She's gone crazy, folks. I can't believe it. Take advantage of this offer. As I mentioned, Caroline has helped me numerous times, many times over the years, and she's an expert at what she does. So please do reach out to her for our audio only friends. Please email nomorestress, nomorestress at live.co.uk, or call +44 0 7523 120 189. Caroline, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here, and look forward to touching base with you later in the week.
It's been wonderful. Thank you so much, viewers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much to all of our followers, whether you're watching on the live or the replay. Please do go over to our YouTube channel, because we get real numbers from YouTube, so we know who's watching and from where and for how long. Our YouTube channel is USA Global TV and Radio. We also have expanded onto Roku, and our channel is USA Global TV and Radio. What a surprise. Keep the branding the same. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, please go to our website, which is, surprise, USAGlobalTVandRadio.com. Book your session. We look forward to having you as a guest on a future show. And if you have any topics that you find of interest that you'd like us to cover in any one of our shows, we've got 42 different shows. Please contact us on the website. Thank you so much. We're going to turn it over to our sponsors. We look forward to seeing you for another show. Bye for now.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating warm memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com. and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
I just can't take it anymore. I am so tired. I am so frustrated and burnt out. Why won't anyone listen to what I have to say? Yet I look on social media and everybody's smiling and having a great time. Meanwhile, I feel totally alone with my world rushing by. Guess what? Great news. You have a choice. You can change the dynamic by learning how to listen at an elevated level yourself through the power of listening educational courses. Can you imagine from where you are today to having a life overflowing with abundance? It's possible. Learn how to listen at an elevated level. You'll have deeper connections, better relationships, and more authentic conversations. Start today. Go to USAGlobalTV.com, education, and learn how to listen. We have courses and children's books. Let's work together to learn how to listen.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at DianeFloydBoehm.com. Visit DianeFloydBoehm.com. That's DianeFloydBoehm.com.
Meet Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, President, Founder, and Chief Listening Officer of USA Global TV and Radio. She is a certified life, career, and executive coach. Dr. JACALYN is the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Behind the Green Screen and Adversity to Awesome. As the listening mentor, she teaches children and their families how to listen at an elevated level through the book series titled The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. The Creative Hearts Awakening book series features heart-centric creatives who share their awakening journey. Through the Power of Listening educational course platform, people can get certified as elevated listeners on USA Global TV and Radio. Learn how to center yourself and align with nature through the power of nature, plants, and shrines. The Journey of Chakra Psychology course will educate you on the chakras and their meaning. The Intuition of the Heart course will help you understand how to trust your intuition. Learn how to face the shadows of self and understand the impact of following trends and materialism. Set boundaries and ask for permission to help establish better relationships, deeper connections, and more authentic conversations. Take your communication expertise to a higher level with the course for curious humans. After all, we are not robots. Looking to start your own podcast platform? Get everything you need in the Podcaster Pro package with Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. How can music, breath, and your voice set you free? Find out with the Power of Listening courses. Dr. JACALYN is a certified meditation teacher, yoga instructor, and Juice Plus distributor. She will help you create a plan for your healthy lifestyle. As an expert in the art of interviewing with over 3,000 hosted and/or produced live broadcasts, Dr. KERBECK helps her clients stand out as global broadcasters. Dr. KERBECK's books are available on Amazon. Start your listening journey by reading. Tune into the Listening Mentor TV show, Fridays on USA Global TV, and learn how listening can be your superpower. Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, MBA, DBA, Certified Holistic Life, Career, and Executive Coach, Certified Yoga Sculpt Teacher, Certified Meditation Teacher, The Listening Mentor, Singer-Songwriter, Founder, President, Chief Listening Officer of USA Global TV and Radio. drjacalyn.com. Thank you to all our elevated listeners, team members, animal characters, and co-authors. Contact us at 215-852-9406. Jacalyn at drjacalyn.com.